Hello, everyone. My name is Epic Butter. I'm one of the top ranked players in Soulstrike. I've been playing Soulstrike for 2.5 years. Today, I'm here to talk to you about the Zenonia collaboration, 2026 collab, which is also the first collaboration of the game was Zenonia. So this is a third time repeat. And I kind of wanted to ask, would people be interested in me talking about my trip to Korea? I actually recently met the devs. We were scheduled for 2 hours. We ended up going three. My Uber Black got pulled over on my way there. My teammate, my guildmate in Korea, we actually got a little lost on our way there. It was a whole thing, but we finally got there. We got to meet the production team, the operations team, and really tell the devs and had a really good conversation on direction of the game. So as a result of that, I'd hope to think that we've made a positive impact. I actually still need to give them my feedback. I did start a poll on Discord. If you're interested, let me know in the comments and I'll share the link as well. It's a Google form. But generally, it was a good trip, and I have high hopes for the continued future of the game because we're about to go through a directional pivot. And unironically, this isn't actually like a frozen screen. This is the game loading, and this is what it's like. The game needs some optimization. It is wild, and I was just recording and I started rambling and I didn't realize how long this was taking, but Jesus. Oh my goodness. But yeah, Zenonia, one of the re-roll collaborations, and we learned a lot from it. So, in my notes, we were gonna go through a few things. So first and foremost, you've got the check-in event. Pretty standard stuff. You get regret, you get vicious, who's new, and you get Ekne. I'm just gonna call her E because I don't know how to pronounce her name. I should probably look it up, but ally E is earth build, vicious is fire, and regret is wind. Get your standard amount of stuff. Currently, we still have the Narissa progress race going on. We got the Zenonia progress race going on, and we have the Ultimate Pets progress race. And the main event for this collaboration is a roadmap, and it's the same as before. You play the game, you summon things, you do stuff, you get your general amount of Zenonia points, and you progress through the map. Now, I was saying a few things on the stream before. There's a good mix of something for everybody. One of the newer things is that they're actually including mythical gems, which I think is nice. The other thing that I'm seeing here is kind of, and I really hope they fix it, is it's kind of hard to actually get all the transcendent crystals that you need. So right now there's about 50 that you can redeem, and then there's about 40 that you can redeem on the roadmap. You kind of need 100, and there's no free way to get 100 at the moment. And I don't know if they meant to do it in the roadmap event. However, in the progress event, and like I said, I don't know. But when you look at the ranking info or reward info, these are not collaboration ones. So it just makes me think, okay, they will probably give us another way, like they usually do, to get more of the material that we need. So that's my thought, is that it's probably coming around next week or the week after, and that'll be really important for what I'm about to recommend. So primary recommendation: I got all the allies, I got all the skills, so you don't have to. But God's Grace, key one, that is the recommendation, TLDR. Effectively, the Morning Star on all friendly units, what it does is it increases P. We always like MP for that Chronos build. So this is why we're recommending it. It is a strong skill in general. It's a great buffing skill. People really, it's just good overall on its own, increasing crit rate, attack, and crit damage. It's great. The other skill that didn't quite meet the mark, and I didn't transcend it because I don't have the material to, but what the ability was to be was it ended up also buffing as well as a damage skill, which is kind of funny. So we'll go into the archive and take a look. It is here. And when we go to 11, this is what the T1 looks like. And it'll get this turbulence mode, which deals damage over time, which is a dot effect. So 4 times in 1 second over a period of 8 seconds, and increases wind boost, although it's a earth skill. Kind of weird. I think they were trying to make it like ecosystem where like, it's just kind of fun and friendly, but also regret is wind. So I guess that's why you're supposed to use this with regret. and then it increases boss damage so friendly, which is boss damage is damage to boss monsters is actually kind of rare, but we're all using Goddess of War, so doesn't really meet the mark for me. I haven't tested it, but I also don't see anyone else doing it. Not that that's anecdotal, but God's grace, we just know that'll work. It's gonna be great. Well, this the damage, it's okay, but damage skills are not really in usage towards later games, so and they tend to drop off more quickly as a bigger, better damage skill comes out. Now, the other thing that got upgraded was Holy Gem. This guy was there before, and all it did before was add defense, which was great because it was a good source, and there were moments where we did need it at that time. Now they also added increases crit damage for every 1% lost HP, which is kind of odd, but they have that increase of skill damage, ally damage, efficacy boost, and final damage by an additional 120 per ally when equipping Regret, Vicious, and Acne. So for a total of 360. So it's okay. I think what they're trying to do is make it, the more you use, the more fun it is, in terms of like the collaboration, really get you into spirit. I don't know if it actually holds. I'm trying it out. I'm using it because I'm actually using Vicious, but yeah, I'm not too not too hot on it. I do think that there will be better relics coming out. I do think that this won't have long-term staying power. So I feel like just get it wherever you can. Since it is somewhat limited, you can actually use Crowley scrolls or Crowley, rings on them right now. So I wouldn't say this is a must get. It's a nice to have, and as you see, basically what you see like is the only thing that changes the defense and that crit damage. So really, yeah, you don't really need almost any percentage of this. The kind of the collaboration boost will be set even with just the lowest version of the copy. So just get what you can. Don't trip over it. Now the allies. Oy. Okay, so initially we have regret. Regret is Wind. I keep thinking he's not. Regret was actually one of the ones I didn't have already A10 before the collab. I don't know, he wasn't someone I was hot on. I did get him A10. He can be stronger than Coden in certain aspects. However, I'll talk about what those aspects are in a second, but effectively, it deals 500% more damage to poison enemies, bleeding enemies, and enemies caught in turbulence, and all 3 stacks are applied separately. So you need something that will do all 3, and we talked about turbulence, like that's, that skill, Divine Wind or Divine Sword, that provides turbulence at a 10. It just seems like a high area to entry. Now, I don't remember if Vicious or that ally E has it. So let me look at Vicious. Pretty sure Vicious was I can't no, that's not her. Oh, now I'm confused. Pretty sure Vicious was oh, Vicious is not fire. Vicious is, physical. My bad. I think I got tripped out by the hair. Whoops. Anyway, Vicious is a physical ally. Whoops. So going back to Archive, we're gonna go look at physical and we're gonna look at Vicious. And Vicious to me, so this here, the Assassin of Dragon Clan ability increases lucky crit rate and increases efficacy, which is actually really good. Um, Everyone kind of thought this was the GVG kind of ally, and of course, right? They say, oh, increase the shadow burst blading damage of the shadow burst blade during takeover, reduces blah 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 blah, and then it has this 0.25 over 6 seconds. After 3 seconds, it explodes. So you got lots of animation on the screen and lots of things happening. And she throws like 3 daggers out, and that's kind of yeah. She throws out 3 daggers, and that's kind of her thing. I wonder if we can see that here. If we no, that's not where the animation is. Okay, but yeah, she throws out 3 daggers, and they kind of explode later. The thing is that for GVG, you're actually killing things way faster than 3 seconds, so you never actually get payoff of the ability. So I think she's a trap for that. So I wouldn't get her for GVG. Um, I would get her if you don't have 003 or you kind of want like a someone that does bleed and this does pull. So she does have a lot of good abilities for GVG. However, in the GVG space, I'm not entirely sure who she replaces given the nature of how GVG works. So either way, she's a good ally. She's not like a must-have, but she's good. And then we have this ally E. What she does is a little interesting. So poison is a more rare earth debuff, and this one is kind of interesting because to me, she actually may work slightly better in GVG given the zone that she creates and the fact that it's a different kind of or a harder to apply debuff because sometimes what you want to do in GVG is apply as many debuffs as possible, and that creates different damage stacks, and that ends up like giving you a faster way to kill enemy mobs. So given that she's poison, and if you don't want to use a toxic bloom trace plant, then yeah, then that's an option. That's possible. Those are the three allies. Now, I think that they're kind of not completely necessary. And the reason why that is, and we're going to get into it now, are the ultimate pets. Now, the ultimate pets, they both try to increase Zenonia ally damage and do things. However, one of them seems better than the other, and this one applies turbulence. So, this is another way to get that turbulence stack. Now, I should try it out with regret instead of Choden. But this one seems to be better in terms of the move speed boost and the crit rate, crit damage, and the accuracy. While this one is all element boost. So yeah, move speed is just much better. So if you're gonna go for a ultimate pet, it would be Runa. That being said, the reason why they're kind of not amazing is you kinda have to build around them, and I think it's gonna be really hard for people to get, like, enough copies of the ultimate pets to compete with the QWER ultimate pets, because before we get 2 of these, and we would have these, QWR abilities, so the ultimate pets and this ecosystem, these end up being kind of like the big limiting factor. If you can get these at a high level or, like, level 2 and above, then they may be worth dealing, but, like, the prospect of getting, you know, 4 copies when you can pull, like, once a day is a little daunting, I'm not gonna lie, like, even me, this is after, like, I actually bought some tickets, so, yeah, I don't know, the rates seem kinda limited. With QWR, we had months, and then we had a puzzle that gave you, like, tons of tickets, so there was a lot more opportunity for people to get tickets, so I don't really know. I think the Zenonia kind of collaboration is fine. I'm not in love with it. I think it's okay. I think that it is a sample of what future collaborations will look like, that there's going to be some sort of ecosystem, and then we're just going to have to decide, is this ecosystem better to get into or that ecosystem better to get into? And this is actually going to be a problem because building such dependencies actually makes it harder for us to get out of it. And for most players, we can choose one thing to go after each collaboration. And if you're making it so that we actually have to go for multiple things, it actually becomes really unaffordable or really, really difficult to move. So then, what you're going to see is people just won't do it. So that's kind of where I'm coming from here. And that to me is the majority of what I had for the collaboration. I'm going to check some notes to see if I had anything else to talk about. The system, how it's different, good things they did, bad things, lucky crystal. Yeah, yeah, I talked about all of it. So that's my thoughts on the Zenonia update. I think it's fine. I think that it just shows what we're expecting. If you want to take anything from this video, it's that one, I got the I mistook the ally for physical to that from fire to physical. She's actually physical. And two, God's grace, T1 if you can go for it. If not, A8 was serving me really, really amazingly. The only thing you don't get is that additional MP. And, to be honest, it was still really good for me. Remember, you can use Crowley seals on them. So, if you don't fret too much, if you can't actually finish it in the roadmap, because, you're going to be able to use those Crowley seals, and you can earn Crowley seals. They're not the most amazing, but that's the Zenonia update. Thank you so much for watching. It's always a pleasure.